On January 27, the fourth stage of the Battle of the Schools competition took place, where young athletes aged 6 to 12 from 9 Moscow figure skating schools demonstrated their skills on the ice of the CSKA arena. The main event was the performance of the star of this competition, Kamila Valieva. She successfully coped with the task by presenting a demonstration number called Pyala and attracted the attention of the full stands. However, the athlete did not come out for interviews with journalists, which is not surprising while waiting for the court decision, which will probably be announced in the coming days. Kamila Valieva's performance was the highlight of the day. Like at the Russian 2024 championships, she chose a demonstration program to the soundtrack of Pyala from Patson's Word. The program was dynamic and intense, but it was not without small technical errors. In particular, the crown triple tool-up with hands on top ended in a butterfly failure. It is also important that the skater performed the ill-fated sliding, which was replaced after her performance at the Grand Prix stage in Kazan. This element is controversial, as it can be seen as a fall or intentional move. In addition, due to the emergency transfer of the tournament from the Atari Tutberidze Figure Skating Center to the CSKA Arena and technical problems, Valieva had to perform under competition lighting, which slightly affected the atmosphere and reduced the solemnity of the moment. Nevertheless, the audience of the Battle of the Schools could not hide their delight, and Kamila Valieva received a loud ovation. The young participants of the competition surrounded the board and watched the performance of their favorite figure skater from a wonderful angle. It was a very touching sight. A real rain of toys poured from the stands. Several dozens of teddy bears and unicorns threw themselves on the ice. Unfortunately, however, the athlete refused to talk to journalists. This decision is understandable, considering what emotionally intense days are probably ahead of her. Is the case of Kamila Valieva really coming to an end? On the evening of January 26, USA Today reporter Christine Brennan reported that the final decision of the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CS, will be announced on Monday, January 29. Although the court's official statement claims that the final decision will be made by February 12, 2024, Brennan, whose news sources are highly credible, claims that the verdict will be announced on Monday. The investigation into the Valieva case has been slow, with hearings taking up the entire fall. It should be noted that journalist Brennan covered the trial in detail from the very beginning, which gives her report additional credibility. Valieva's case has become one of the most talked about in figure skating, and the entire process since January 2023 has been filled with complicated moments. At that time, Kamila Valieva was stripped of her title of Russian champion. The Ruseta Disciplinary Committee acquitted Valieva of an anti-doping rule violation, but the results of her performance in the free program at the 2022 Russian Championships, where a positive doping sample was taken on December 25, 2021, were annulled. The tournament gold was then awarded to Alexandra Trusova. Appeals against the decision were filed with CAS by the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, the International Skating Union, ISU, and Ruseta itself. Ruseta requested that Kamila Valieva be found guilty and appropriate sanctions be imposed. 4 years of ineligibility represents the absolute maximum in the case of doping by an athlete with intent and voluntarily. However, when it comes to a 15-year-old girl who is competing at the international level of adult sport for the first time, it is difficult to assume that she knowingly and willfully acquired a prohibited substance, for example, on her own at a pharmacy. But the banned substance was in her system, and this is a proven fact. It is likely that the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CS, will consider more moderate options, such as an admission of minimal guilt, a reprimand with annulment of the results of the Russian Championships, or even a 2-year disqualification, which will end by the end of December this year. Russian figure skater Vladislav Dikidze, competing in the figure skating singles, demonstrated a complex cascade of jumps during training. His performance included quadruple Lutz, Euler and quadruple Salcho. It should be noted that Dikidze was a silver medalist at the 2024 Russian Championships and also won silver in the team jump competition representing Alexander Galyamov. Dikiji is believed to have the best jumping technique among skaters in Russia. The athlete himself admitted that he hopes to figure skate professionally for as long as possible and plans to stay on the ice at least until the age of 24. 13-year-old figure skater Alyona Vilina performed a quadruple flip at a training session. The video was published by coach Ludmila Alfarova. The athlete is engaged in the Academy Angels Plushenko. In December, Vilina took 12th place at the Junior Championship of Moscow. In January, she competed at the Russian Jumping Championships, where she was eliminated in the quarter-finals. Women's figure skating honors were awarded at the U.S. 2024 Figure Skating Championships. Isabeau Levito unexpectedly placed third, despite being the American champion last year. Her performance in the short program had some setbacks, starting with a fall after a triple Lutz, triple tulip. This was followed by falls on a triple flip and a triple Ritberger. The spectators showed their support by loudly applauding and shouting. Even at the time of the scores, Levito couldn't contain her emotions after realizing the title was gone. In the end, she was given 125.30 points for her performance, bringing her total score to 200.68. Given the falls, she could have lost another 10 points in the international competition, but the judges were more loyal, raising her components to keep her in the top 3. Josephine Lee had an outstanding performance and won the silver medal. She was the leader of the free program results, reaching her highest score. Although she didn't have any difficult jumps or cascades, her lack of mistakes did the trick. Lee is behind her competitors in presentation, but her attention to her jumps made her performance impressive. When she was given a 138.85 score for her performance and her total became 204.13, she cried, not expecting a guaranteed medal. The new U.S. champion was Amber Glenn of Texas, a 24-year-old figure skater. The main surprise of the competition was her triple axel, which she successfully performed in the warm-up. During her performance, she failed to keep her mindset and after the step lane, she only did a double Lutz and a single flip. Despite this, she was awarded 135.48 points for her performance for a total of 210.46. After her came Levito, who Glenn was only a point behind after the short program. In a show of support, Glenn shouted, "Go Isabeau," but unfortunately it didn't help Levito recover. Glenn, being an experienced skater, won the national championships for the first time despite 2 previous podiums. Her confidence was evident in her successful execution of the triple axel, which may have been boosted by winning the World Team Championships last year.